Have you ever wondered why, even after chasing goals, collecting achievements, or buying new things, happiness still slips through your fingers like water? You think the next milestone will bring peace. You imagine that when you get there, when you finally hold it, you will feel complete. Yet the truth is this: happiness doesn't live in the future, and it doesn't hide in possessions. It is here, right now, waiting for you to notice it. And that realization is the key to everything. Most people live their entire lives on a treadmill, running toward a moving target. They believe joy is somewhere ahead, locked behind success, money, approval, or recognition. But what happens when they finally reach what they worked so hard for? They feel a spark, a brief high, and then the emptiness returns. This is the endless trap of conditional happiness, the belief that life must be perfect before you can feel whole. That trap steals years from people, years they will never get back. But you are not here to waste your life running toward illusions. You are here to awaken. Think about the times you felt truly alive. Maybe it was a moment of silence watching the sky. Maybe it was laughing with someone you love. Maybe it was when you lost track of time doing something you cared about. Notice something powerful: those moments weren't about the world being perfect. They were about you being present. Happiness was not created by the outside world. It was unlocked within you. And if it happened once, it can happen again and again because it has always belonged to you. Here's the truth that many people never learn: your brain is wired to adapt. The new car, the promotion, the recognition, they light you up for a while, then fade. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. But here's the good news: the same brain that adapts to external highs can also adapt to internal practices that last. Gratitude, meaning, growth, and connection are not temporary sparks. They are renewable sources of joy. When you shift your focus toward them, you create happiness that doesn't fade because it grows from within. You might be wondering, if happiness is inside me, why do I often feel lost, tired, or unfulfilled? The answer is simple. You've been taught to look in the wrong direction. From a young age, society told you to chase, to prove, to compare, to measure your worth against someone else's highlight reel. That constant chase blinds you to the truth that happiness has always been available to you, in this moment, without waiting for permission from life. The real work is not to get more. The real work is to see more, to feel more, to live more. And this is why you must keep watching until the very end of this message, because the wisdom you're about to hear will show you how to break free from that trap. It will teach you how to stop postponing joy and start living with it now, no matter your circumstances. Imagine walking through life with a calm strength inside you, knowing that nothing outside has the power to take away your peace. Imagine building a happiness that survives failure, that survives loss, that survives challenge, because it is rooted deeper than all of those things. That is the surprising truth about happiness. And if you stay with me, you will learn how to claim it. You have been told all your life that happiness is something you earn. Work harder, climb higher, achieve more, and then maybe you will be worthy of feeling good. But that belief is a lie that keeps you small. The truth is, you are already worthy. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You don't have to wait until you are perfect to feel peace. You don't have to achieve some distant goal before you allow yourself joy. Every single breath you take is proof that you already deserve it. Think about how many times you've put your happiness on hold. You said, "I'll be happy when I lose weight. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when I find the right relationship. I'll be happy when I finally have enough money." But here's what really happens. When you arrive, you move the finish line. You tell yourself, "It's not enough yet. I need more." And the cycle begins again. That cycle doesn't lead to happiness. It leads to exhaustion. It leaves you chasing shadows while life quietly slips away. Psychology has a name for this pattern: the arrival fallacy. It's the false belief that joy waits at the end of achievement. But research shows the opposite. True happiness is not the reward of success, it is the foundation of it. People who practice gratitude, who nurture positive emotions, who create meaning in their daily lives, they don't just feel better, they perform better. They are more resilient, more creative, more courageous. Happiness is not the result of winning, it is the fuel that helps you win. When you understand this, something inside you shifts. You stop seeing happiness as a prize you must chase. You start seeing it as a power you can choose. That choice is the beginning of freedom. It doesn't mean your life will be free of pain or difficulty. Pain is part of being human. But happiness is not about avoiding struggle. It is about finding strength inside struggle. It is about anchoring yourself to what cannot be taken away. When you know that challenges no longer break you, they shape you. They reveal what was already strong within you. Right now you hold that power. You may feel tired or lost or weighed down by the pressures of life. But inside you is a space that no one can touch, a space of clarity and calm that has always been there. The problem is not that you lack happiness. The problem is that you have been distracted from it. Noise, comparison, fear, and doubt cloud your vision. But when you slow down and look within, you begin to remember. You remember that peace doesn't come from the world being perfect. It comes from you deciding to see the beauty in the imperfection. This is the turning point. The moment you stop waiting for life to give you permission. The moment you stop saying someday and start saying today. Happiness is not on hold. It is not delayed. It is not locked away in a future you have to earn. It is here, in this moment, waiting for you to claim it. And when you decide to claim it, you unlock a life filled with energy, strength, and purpose. That is the real surprise about happiness. It has always been yours, and it will always be yours, the second you choose it. Happiness begins to unfold the moment you understand that it is not something to chase, but something to cultivate. Just like a seed planted in the ground, it grows when you give it attention, care, and the right environment. Too many people wait for the world to deliver happiness to their doorstep, as if it were a gift owed to them. But happiness does not arrive as a package. It is grown from within, moment by moment, choice by choice. You become the gardener of your own inner world, and every thought, every focus, every action is a seed. When your mind is trained to dwell on what is missing, you plant seeds of lack. When you focus on fear, you plant seeds of doubt. When you constantly compare yourself to others, you plant seeds of insecurity. And over time, those seeds grow into patterns that shape the way you feel every single day. But the powerful truth is this: the same way you once planted seeds of stress, you can begin planting seeds of peace. The same energy you used to fuel comparison can now be used to fuel gratitude. The same mental habits that once dragged you down can be replaced with habits that lift you up. Science confirms this truth. Neuroscience shows that your brain is not fixed. It is constantly rewiring itself based on what you focus on. Every time you choose to notice what is good, every time you take a breath and center yourself in the present, every time you express gratitude, you strengthen the neural pathways of happiness. This means happiness is not a random accident. It is not luck. It is a skill you can practice, a skill you can master. And like every skill, the more you work with it, the stronger it becomes. Imagine carrying this power with you through your daily life. Instead of waking up and immediately diving into stress, you begin the day with intention, choosing to see even the smallest blessings. Instead of waiting for a perfect situation to feel alive, you allow yourself to feel alive right now. Instead of telling yourself you'll be happy when everything finally falls into place, you remind yourself that everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to feel joy. That shift alone changes the way you move through the world. When you practice happiness as a skill, you no longer become a victim of circumstances. Challenges will still come, pain will still arrive, but your inner foundation will remain steady. And that steadiness becomes your power. You begin to realize that happiness is not fragile. It is not something that disappears every time life tests you. It is something you carry inside you, unshaken, even when storms arrive. This kind of happiness does not make you weak or naive. It makes you resilient. It makes you unbreakable. The surprising truth is that happiness has little to do with the world outside you and everything to do with the world inside you. It is not about waiting for the right moment. It is about creating the right mindset. And once you understand this, once you begin to practice it daily, you stop living like a passenger in your own life. You become the driver. You take control. You live with purpose, strength, and clarity. And from that place, everything else begins to change. When you realize happiness is a skill, a door opens that many people never walk through. It is the door of responsibility. Responsibility is not a heavy burden, it is a gift. It means you no longer have to wait for life to change before you can feel whole. It means you no longer need permission from the outside world to feel joy inside yourself. The moment you take responsibility for your inner state, you step into a power most people never touch. You stop being a prisoner of circumstance, and you become the creator of your own experience. This shift changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is life so unfair?" you begin asking, "What can I learn here? How can I grow from this?" Instead of blaming others for your pain, you reclaim your energy and use it to build strength. Instead of waiting for a future event to bring happiness, you practice finding it in the present. This doesn't mean denying pain or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing not to let pain dictate your entire story. It means allowing hardship to shape you without breaking you. It means remembering that life's storms are not designed to drown you, but to awaken the deeper resilience already inside you. Psychology shows us that people who take responsibility for their mindset experience greater well-being, stronger relationships, and deeper fulfillment. They don't waste years waiting for external rescue. They build inner stability that carries them through uncertainty. This stability is not about control. You cannot control everything that happens in life, but you can control how you respond. You can choose your focus. You can choose your meaning. You can choose whether you allow adversity to close your heart or open it. And those choices, repeated day after day, shape a life of either despair or joy. Imagine for a moment the freedom of no longer being controlled by external chaos. Imagine the peace of knowing that no matter what comes, your center remains strong. Imagine living from a place where happiness is not stolen by rejection, not erased by failure, not destroyed by loss, because your foundation is deeper than those moments. That is not fantasy. That is the reality available to you when you claim responsibility for your own happiness. But here is where many people hesitate. They fear responsibility because it feels like pressure. They fear it because it means they can no longer blame the world for their unhappiness. But in truth, responsibility is not pressure, it is liberation. Because once you see that happiness depends on your choices, you stop waiting, you stop postponing your life, you begin to act with intention. You begin to create habits, thoughts, and emotions that build the inner life you desire. And with every choice, you strengthen the muscle of happiness. The surprising truth is that the most powerful freedom you will ever know is the freedom to master your own mind. This freedom cannot be given to you and it cannot be taken from you. It is awakened when you stop searching outside and start choosing inside. It is awakened when you realize that happiness is not something that happens to you, but something you decide to live. And once you embrace that decision, your life transforms from the inside out. The mind is the most powerful tool you will ever own, yet most people live their entire lives letting it run wild without direction. Left unattended, the mind defaults to fear, comparison, and doubt. It replays regrets from the past and imagines problems in the future. It convinces you that you are not enough, that you must keep chasing, that peace is always just out of reach. But once you learn to guide the mind, everything changes. You realize that your thoughts are not your master. They are your instruments. And when you master them, you shape your life with clarity and strength. Research shows that the average person has thousands of thoughts each day, and most of them are repetitive. If those thoughts are rooted in fear or lack, they create a constant cycle of unhappiness. But when you begin to interrupt that cycle and feed your mind with new patterns, you rewrite the story of your life. You are not defined by the automatic voice in your head. You are defined by the choices you make about what to believe, what to focus on, and what to nurture. And the moment you choose to focus on gratitude, meaning, and growth, your mind begins to reflect those choices back into your reality. Happiness is not about erasing every negative thought. That is impossible, and it is not necessary. The key is learning not to attach yourself to them. A thought can pass through your mind without becoming your identity. Fear can rise without becoming your prison. Doubt can appear without stopping your action. This is what psychologists call cognitive detachment, the ability to see your thoughts without being controlled by them. When you practice this skill, you gain freedom. You stop drowning in the endless stream of mental noise and instead stand above it, calm and aware. Imagine the strength that comes from this awareness. You wake up, and instead of being pulled by old habits of stress, you pause, breathe, and decide where your mind will go. You take back control of your focus. You remind yourself of what matters most. You train your mind, just as you would train your body, with consistent effort and care. Every time you catch yourself spiraling into fear and redirect toward gratitude, you strengthen the mental muscles of happiness. Every time you choose to release comparison and embrace your own path, you build resilience. Every time you interrupt negativity with presence, you reclaim your power. The mind is like a lens through which you see the world. If the lens is clouded by fear, everything looks dark. But when you polish the lens with awareness, gratitude, and intention, you begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You begin to see beauty where others see nothing. You begin to see hope even in difficulty. This is not a trick. It is not denial. It is the practice of aligning your perception with the deeper truth that life is filled with meaning, even when it challenges you. The surprising truth about happiness is that it is less about what happens to you and more about how you choose to see it. The same event that breaks one person can awaken strength in another. The same challenge that leaves one person hopeless can inspire another to grow. The difference lies not in the situation, but in the mindset. And once you realize that, you stop waiting for a perfect life to feel alive. You start building a powerful mind that creates happiness in every life you live. Every moment you live is an opportunity to decide the quality of your inner world. Happiness does not wait for tomorrow. It is born in the choices you make right now. When you choose to focus on what you can give instead of what you lack, your heart expands. When you choose to see progress instead of perfection, your confidence grows. When you choose to embrace the present instead of being trapped in the past or the future, your spirit feels alive. These choices may seem small, but they build the architecture of a powerful life. Psychology teaches us that small daily actions create massive long-term impact. Just as the body grows stronger through repetition, the mind grows stronger through consistent habits. Gratitude practiced once feels good, but gratitude practiced daily reshapes your brain. Compassion offered once lifts your spirit, but compassion offered repeatedly changes how you see humanity. Presence experienced once feels peaceful, but presence practiced every day transforms your relationship with life itself. These habits do not only create happiness, they create a resilient identity, one that thrives regardless of circumstances. Many people misunderstand happiness as a constant state of pleasure. They think it means feeling good all the time. But real happiness is deeper. It is not about avoiding pain, it is about anchoring yourself in meaning, so that even pain has a purpose. Research on well-being shows that people who live with meaning experience greater fulfillment. Even when life is hard, they understand that struggle is not an enemy but a teacher. They see challenges not as punishments but as invitations to grow, and because of this perspective, their happiness is not fragile. It survives storms. It survives setbacks. It survives the seasons of life that break others. Think about the strength that comes from living with this mindset. When difficulties arise, instead of asking, "Why me?" you ask, "What can this teach me?" How can I use this to become stronger, wiser, more compassionate? That single shift transforms suffering into growth. It turns obstacles into stepping stones. It turns moments of despair into opportunities to deepen your connection with yourself and with life. Happiness becomes less about escaping discomfort and more about discovering who you are within it. Every time you rise from a challenge, you prove to yourself that happiness is not dependent on a perfect life. You prove that peace is not destroyed by struggle. You prove that joy can coexist with effort, with change, with uncertainty. This realization makes you unstoppable because once you know you can generate happiness from within, no external force can truly control you. You carry your own light into every situation, and that light cannot be extinguished. The surprising truth is that happiness is not fragile, conditional, or distant. It is durable. It is accessible. It is here. It grows stronger every time you choose to align your focus with gratitude, meaning, and presence. And when you live from this place, you stop waiting for life to finally allow you to be happy. You start creating happiness with every breath, every choice, every day. This is the kind of happiness that not only transforms your life, but also radiates to everyone around you. Happiness deepens when you understand that it is not only about what you feel, but about what you give. Human beings are wired for connection. Neuroscience shows that acts of kindness release chemicals in the brain that create feelings of warmth, trust, and joy. This is why generosity feels so powerful. It doesn't just help others, it heals you. When you give your time, your energy, your encouragement, or your love, you unlock a form of happiness that cannot be bought. You realize that joy multiplies when it is shared. Too often, people believe happiness is an individual pursuit, something to be protected or hoarded. But the deepest fulfillment comes when you expand beyond yourself. Isolation shrinks the soul, but contribution expands it. When you use your struggles to inspire someone else, your pain transforms into purpose. When you offer compassion in a world that often chooses judgment, you bring light where there is darkness. And in that moment, you are reminded of something profound. You are not alone, and you were never meant to carry this life alone. Connection is one of the strongest predictors of lasting happiness. Studies on human well-being consistently show that people with strong, authentic relationships live longer, feel healthier, and experience greater life satisfaction. Happiness is amplified in the presence of others who see you, support you, and walk with you. And this doesn't mean you need a crowd or endless approval. It means you need depth, honesty, and genuine connection. Even a single relationship built on trust and love has the power to change the trajectory of your life. Imagine the strength of knowing that your joy is not limited to your personal achievements, but is magnified when you lift others. Imagine the fulfillment of looking back on your life and realizing that your happiness was not just about how much you received, but how much you gave. This kind of joy cannot be taken by failure because it is rooted in service. It cannot be stolen by loss because it lives in the impact you leave behind. It cannot fade with time because the love you give becomes part of the world long after you are gone. When you embrace connection and contribution, happiness takes on a new depth. It stops being about chasing fleeting highs and becomes about building something lasting. It becomes about showing up with presence, with empathy, with courage, even when it's hard. It becomes about realizing that every smile you give, every word of encouragement you speak, every act of kindness you choose, creates ripples that reach further than you can see. Those ripples touch lives, shift perspectives, and sometimes they save someone who is quietly struggling. The surprising truth is that happiness is not just a personal treasure, it is a shared force. It grows when you pour it into others, when you live not only for yourself but for the greater good. And when you live this way, you discover that the more love you give, the more love you carry. The more light you share, the brighter your own life becomes. This is not just a path to happiness. It is the essence of what it means to live fully, to live deeply, to live with purpose. Happiness is magnified through connection, but it is sustained through alignment with your values. When you live in conflict with what you truly believe, no amount of external success can fill the emptiness. You may appear accomplished on the outside, but inside you feel restless, disconnected, and unfulfilled. This is because true happiness is not built on image, but on integrity. It is born when your actions reflect your deepest truths, when your choices honor who you are at your core. Living in alignment removes the weight of pretending. It frees you from the exhausting need to perform for others and allows you to live with clarity and peace. Psychologists call this authenticity, and research shows that authentic living is one of the strongest foundations of lasting well-being. People who live true to themselves experience less stress, greater life satisfaction, and stronger relationships. When you act in alignment with your values, you no longer feel torn between who you are and who the world expects you to be. You stop fighting yourself. You stop betraying yourself. You begin to live with integrity, and that integrity creates a quiet, unshakable happiness that nothing external can destroy. Think of how many times unhappiness has come from denying your own voice, from following a path that didn't feel right, from saying yes when your heart wanted to say no. Those moments may bring temporary approval, but they take something far more valuable, your inner peace. Every time you abandon yourself for the sake of others' expectations, you weaken the foundation of your joy. But every time you honor your truth, even when it is difficult, you strengthen it. Happiness grows every time you choose courage over conformity, authenticity over approval, truth over convenience. This is why happiness requires courage. Courage to face yourself honestly. Courage to admit what you really want. Courage to walk away from what no longer serves you. Courage to stand tall when the world pushes you to shrink. That courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward anyway. And every act of courage reinforces the message to yourself that your life matters, that your voice matters, that your happiness is worth protecting. When you live this way, you stop seeing happiness as something fragile. It no longer depends on being liked by everyone or fitting into every box. It is not shaken by rejection because you no longer reject yourself. It is not destroyed by failure because you are no longer living someone else's definition of success. It is not diminished by loss because what you gain through authenticity is a deeper connection to yourself, one that no external change can take away. The surprising truth about happiness is that it is not found in becoming what others want you to be, but in becoming fully who you already are. When you strip away the layers of pretense, fear, and doubt, what remains is your essence, strong, worthy, and whole. Living in alignment with that truth is the highest form of freedom. And when you embrace that freedom, happiness stops being a fleeting feeling. It becomes a way of life, a steady fire within you that continues to burn no matter how strong the winds outside. When you live in alignment with who you truly are, happiness begins to feel less like a pursuit and more like a natural state of being. Yet alignment alone is not enough. To sustain it, you must grow. Growth is the pulse of life. Without growth, even the most comfortable existence begins to feel empty. You were not made to stay the same. You were not born to stand still. Deep within you is a drive to expand, to learn, to rise beyond limitations. And when you honor that drive, happiness expands with it. Psychologists call this the principle of self-actualization, the innate human desire to reach toward your highest potential. Every time you stretch yourself beyond fear, every time you choose courage over comfort, every time you invest in your own evolution, you feed this principle. The result is not only progress but fulfillment, because happiness thrives where there is movement. It thrives where there is challenge that awakens strength, where there is effort that awakens pride, where there is growth that awakens purpose. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive. They were not moments of idleness. They were moments when you overcame something you once thought impossible. They were moments when you dared to step beyond what felt safe, when you surprise yourself with the resilience you didn't know you had. Those moments lit something inside you, not because they were easy, but because they revealed your capacity. And every time you reveal your capacity, your happiness deepens. Stagnation suffocates the spirit. You can have comfort, but without growth, comfort turns into emptiness. You can have security, but without growth, security turns into limitation. This is why happiness demands progress. Even small steps forward breathe energy back into your life. Growth is not about comparing yourself to others. It is not about meeting someone else's standard. It is about becoming more of who you are meant to be. It is about living today in a way that makes tomorrow stronger, wiser, freer. Research on human motivation shows that the greatest satisfaction comes not from achieving once, but from the continual pursuit of mastery. Every time you grow, you activate the brain's reward system, fueling a sense of purpose and vitality. This is why people who commit to lifelong learning, who seek new challenges, who embrace change instead of fearing it, often report higher levels of happiness. Growth keeps the spirit alive. Growth keeps hope alive. Growth keeps happiness alive. The surprising truth is that happiness is not found at the finish line. It is found in the climb, in the struggle, in the stretch. It is found in the courage to face what scares you, in the discipline to keep moving when it would be easier to stop, in the determination to become more than your circumstances. And when you live this way, happiness is no longer fragile or fleeting. It becomes a steady flame that grows stronger with every step forward. This is the kind of happiness that endures, the kind that makes your life not only full, but extraordinary. Growth awakens your potential, but happiness deepens when growth is guided by purpose. Without purpose, even progress can feel hollow. You may achieve goals, accumulate milestones, and build accomplishments, yet still sense that something essential is missing. That missing piece is meaning. Human beings are not designed to thrive on pleasure alone. We are designed to seek significance, to know that our lives matter, to believe that our existence contributes to something greater than ourselves. Purpose transforms growth into fulfillment, effort into legacy, struggle into strength. Psychologists call this the pursuit of meaning, and it is one of the strongest predictors of true well-being. Studies reveal that people who live with a sense of purpose are more resilient, more optimistic, and more satisfied with life, even when circumstances are difficult. Purpose acts as a compass, guiding your choices, clarifying your priorities, and reminding you why your effort matters. Without it, happiness feels fragile, easily shaken by setbacks. With it, happiness becomes grounded, anchored in something no failure can erase. Purpose does not have to be grand to be powerful. It does not require fame, wealth, or recognition. Purpose can be as simple as raising a child with love, creating something that inspires others, serving in your community, or living each day in a way that reflects your deepest values. What matters is not the scale of your purpose, but its authenticity. When your actions align with what matters most to you, you feel a deep sense of rightness, an inner peace that cannot be faked. That feeling is happiness in its most enduring form. Think of how empowering it is to know that your life is not random, that your struggles have meaning, that your path has direction. Even when days are hard, purpose gives you strength to keep moving. Even when obstacles arise, purpose gives you clarity to endure. Even when everything seems uncertain, purpose whispers that your life still matters. That whisper is enough to lift you, to steady you, to carry you through storms. Many people search endlessly for happiness but overlook purpose, hoping that pleasure will be enough. But pleasure fades, purpose endures. Pleasure is a spark, purpose is a fire. Pleasure comforts the moment, purpose transforms the life. When you root your happiness in purpose, it is no longer dependent on mood or circumstance. It becomes an unshakable foundation, a steady force that continues to grow stronger the more you live it. The surprising truth is that happiness is not about how much you get, but about how deeply you live. It is about finding meaning in your journey, about using your gifts in service of something beyond yourself, about knowing that your time here is not wasted. And when you live with that awareness, happiness stops being a fleeting emotion. It becomes a profound state of being, a quiet strength that carries you through life's chaos with grace. Purpose does not remove challenges, but it gives every challenge meaning. And when life has meaning, happiness is not something you chase, it is something you embody. Purpose gives direction, but happiness flourishes when you learn to anchor yourself in the present. Too many people miss their lives because they are trapped in the past or lost in the future. They replay regrets like broken records, or they project fears into tomorrow that has not yet come. This endless tug of war steals the richness of the only moment that truly exists. Now, happiness cannot be experienced yesterday, and it cannot be stored for tomorrow. It can only be lived in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this single moment that is unfolding before you. Research in psychology confirms this truth. Studies on mindfulness reveal that people who practice present moment awareness experience lower levels of stress, higher levels of joy, and greater overall well-being. This is not because their lives are easier, but because they are fully alive in the moments they live. They are not missing the beauty of a sunrise because they are scrolling through yesterday's mistakes. They are not blind to the laughter of loved ones because they are already worrying about tomorrow's battles. They are here, they are awake, and because they are awake, they are free. Being present is not about ignoring the past or abandoning the future. It is about releasing the grip of both. The past can teach you, but it cannot define you. The future can inspire you, but it cannot control you. Happiness grows when you take the wisdom of the past, the vision of the future, and bring them fully into the power of now. Every moment becomes an opportunity to notice life as it is happening, to engage fully with the people around you, to appreciate the details you once overlooked. Imagine the strength of living this way. Instead of being weighed down by regrets you cannot change, you use that energy to live today with more awareness. Instead of being paralyzed by fears of what may come, you channel that energy into what you can do now. Each moment becomes meaningful because you are no longer absent from it. You stop sleepwalking through your own life and begin to feel it deeply, with gratitude and clarity. Presence does not eliminate struggle, but it transforms your relationship with it. Pain feels heavier when you drag the past into it or project the future onto it, but when you face it moment by moment, breath by breath, it becomes manageable. You realize you are strong enough to handle this moment, and when the next moment arrives, you handle that too. Step by step, you discover that the weight you thought would break you can be carried, because you are only ever carrying now. The surprising truth about happiness is that it does not wait at the end of some distant path. It is not locked inside memories you cannot return to, and it is not hidden in a future you cannot yet touch. It is alive in this second, available in this breath, accessible the moment you choose to be fully here. And when you awaken to the present, you unlock the deepest form of joy, the joy of living your life as it happens instead of missing it while chasing what never was or what may never be. The present moment is where happiness lives, but to fully embrace it, you must release the chains of comparison. Comparison is one of the greatest thieves of joy. It convinces you that your life is never enough, that your progress is too slow, that your worth depends on how you measure against others. This mental trap keeps countless people from experiencing happiness that is already within reach. They overlook their blessings because they are too busy counting someone else's. They diminish their victories because they don't look like another person's. And in that endless cycle, joy is replaced by envy, gratitude is replaced by dissatisfaction, and peace is replaced by pressure. Psychology reveals that comparison often triggers what is known as relative deprivation, the sense that you are lacking simply because someone else appears to have more. But the truth is, happiness cannot be measured on someone else's scale. Their path is not your path. Their timeline is not your timeline. Their purpose is not your purpose. The more you compare, the further you drift from your own life, and the less you see of the abundance that already surrounds you. The antidote to comparison is appreciation. When you begin to focus on what is good in your own journey, you reclaim your power. Gratitude interrupts the endless chase of measuring up and roots you in what is real. Studies on gratitude show that those who practice it consistently experience greater levels of happiness, stronger resilience, and deeper satisfaction. Gratitude does not mean settling or refusing to grow. It means seeing clearly what you already have, so that your growth is built on a foundation of abundance rather than lack. Imagine the difference between living each day as if you are behind versus living each day as if you are blessed. In the first, life feels heavy, rushed, and unfair. In the second, life feels meaningful, abundant, and alive. Circumstances may be the same, but the mindset changes everything. Comparison blinds you to your blessings. Gratitude opens your eyes to them. And when your eyes are open, happiness flows naturally. Letting go of comparison also means embracing authenticity. When you stop trying to live someone else's story, you free yourself to live your own. When you stop chasing their definition of success, you can finally define your own. Authenticity removes the pressure to prove and replaces it with the freedom to be. And in that freedom, happiness flourishes. You are no longer waiting for validation because you have already given it to yourself. You are no longer running someone else's race because you are walking confidently in your own. The surprising truth is that happiness cannot be stolen by what others have, unless you allow it. It cannot be diminished by their success, unless you forget your own worth. It cannot be lost in comparison, unless you choose to abandon gratitude. Your life is not meant to be a copy of anyone else's. It is meant to be a masterpiece of its own, built with your values, your growth, your purpose, and your presence. And when you choose to honor that truth, you discover a happiness that is not dependent on how you compare, but on how deeply you live your own life. Authenticity unlocks joy, but happiness deepens when you align your life with growth. Human beings are wired to evolve. Stagnation breeds frustration because it goes against the very design of your mind and spirit. You are not meant to remain the same year after year. You are built to expand, to learn, to stretch beyond comfort, to transform into more than you were yesterday. Growth is not just about achieving goals. It is about awakening potential that lies dormant inside you, potential that cannot be revealed without challenge, without effort, without stepping into the unknown. Psychologists call this the principle of self-actualization, the drive within every human to realize their fullest potential. When you grow, you do more than change your circumstances. You elevate your sense of meaning. Studies show that those who pursue personal development report higher levels of life satisfaction, not because growth is easy, but because it gives life direction and significance. Every step forward, no matter how small, tells your heart and mind that you are alive, that you are becoming, that you are capable of more than you once believed. Happiness thrives in progress, not in perfection, not in reaching some final destination, but in knowing you are moving forward. Think about the energy you feel when you commit to learning a new skill, when you take care of your health, when you finally face a fear that has held you back. That spark is happiness born from growth. It is not the outcome alone that gives you joy, but the process itself, the journey of discovering that you are stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you imagined. Yet growth demands courage. It requires you to leave behind the familiar, to step into the discomfort of change. Many resist growth because it feels uncertain, but what they don't realize is that avoiding growth creates even deeper pain. The pain of regret, the pain of wasted potential, the pain of a life half-lived. Growth is uncomfortable, but stagnation is unbearable. One gives temporary struggle, the other leaves lasting emptiness. And when you understand this, you begin to see that the discomfort of growth is not something to fear, but something to embrace, because it is proof that you are evolving. When you pursue growth, happiness stops being fragile. It is no longer dependent on fleeting pleasures or external approval. It becomes rooted in the knowledge that you are fulfilling your purpose, that you are becoming the person you are meant to be. This kind of happiness cannot be taken away because it is not based on circumstance. It is built from within, strengthened each time you choose progress over complacency, each time you choose courage over fear. The truth is that happiness is not found in staying safe. It is not found in avoiding risk or protecting comfort. It is discovered in the moments you dare to step beyond what you know, when you stretch into the unknown and prove to yourself that you are capable of more. Growth is not an enemy to happiness, it is its fuel. And when you embrace growth, you ignite a deeper joy, a joy that comes not from what you have, but from who you are becoming. Growth reveals your potential, but happiness becomes unshakable when you connect that growth to service. Human beings are not only wired to evolve, they are wired to give. When your efforts extend beyond yourself, when your progress touches the lives of others, happiness multiplies in ways it never could if it remained confined to your own success. True joy expands when you use your strength to uplift, when you use your lessons to guide, when you use your gifts to serve. Science confirms this. Studies in positive psychology show that acts of kindness, generosity, and contribution consistently increase well-being, not just for the receiver, but for the giver. This happens because service shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance. It reminds you that no matter your struggles, you still have something to offer. It creates a sense of meaning that material possessions or achievements cannot replicate. Happiness grows in the soil of connection, and connection is strengthened when you live not only for yourself, but for the impact you leave on others. Service does not have to be grand to be powerful. It is not limited to building charities or changing the world on a massive scale. It begins in the small intentional acts of giving, listening deeply to someone who feels unheard, encouraging a person who is ready to give up, sharing knowledge that can help another rise. These moments create ripples that extend further than you can imagine, and as those ripples spread, they reflect back into your own life as fulfillment, purpose, and lasting happiness. When you serve, you step into alignment with something greater than yourself. Self-centered pursuits often leave a void no matter how much you achieve, but when your growth contributes to others, that void disappears. You begin to see your life not as an isolated journey, but as a thread woven into the fabric of humanity. Every action becomes an opportunity to add light, to reduce suffering, to make the world a little better because you were here. And in that realization, happiness transforms from something you chase into something you embody. The paradox of service is that by giving you receive, by lifting others you rise, by pouring out you become full. This is not weakness, it is the deepest form of strength. It means you have discovered that your happiness is not fragile, because it does not depend on what you take, but on what you create and share. Even in hardship, service brings joy, because it reminds you that you are not powerless. You always have the ability to contribute. You always have the ability to make a difference. The surprising truth about happiness is that it thrives not in isolation, but in contribution. It grows not when you hold tightly to what you have, but when you release it in love, in kindness, in generosity. The more you give, the more you realize that happiness is not a limited resource. It expands endlessly, multiplying in every life it touches, including your own. And when you live with this understanding, you carry within you a joy that cannot be shaken, because it is built on the unbreakable foundation of service. Service elevates happiness to new heights, but to sustain that joy, you must also learn the art of resilience. Life will not always align with your plans. Challenges will arise, storms will come, and setbacks will test your spirit. In those moments, many people believe happiness is lost, stolen by circumstance. But the truth is, happiness is not destroyed by difficulty, it is revealed through it. Resilience is the bridge that carries joy through pain, the strength that allows happiness to endure even when life feels heavy. Resilience does not mean ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It means facing reality with courage and choosing to rise instead of collapse. It means acknowledging the struggle while refusing to let it define you. Research shows that resilient people are not those who avoid hardship, but those who adapt, who bend without breaking, who find meaning even in suffering. And meaning is a powerful fuel for happiness. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, discovered that those who endured unimaginable suffering with a sense of purpose were able to hold on to a sense of hope and even moments of joy. That truth remains, meaning transforms pain into growth, and growth sustains happiness. When you build resilience, you discover that happiness is not a fragile emotion that disappears in the face of difficulty. It becomes an anchor, something rooted deep within you that circumstances cannot uproot. You learn to separate external events from your internal state, to understand that while you cannot always control what happens, you can always choose how you respond. That choice is where freedom lives. That choice is where happiness survives. Every setback becomes an invitation to grow stronger. Every failure becomes a teacher. Every loss becomes an opportunity to appreciate what remains. Resilience reframes suffering, not by erasing it, but by transforming its meaning. Instead of seeing challenges as proof that life is against you, you begin to see them as evidence that you are being stretched into someone greater. Instead of letting adversity harden you, you allow it to carve depth into your soul, depth that makes happiness more profound when it returns. This is why some of the most joyful people are not those who live the easiest lives, but those who walked through fire and came out with gratitude. They know that happiness is not about avoiding storms, but about finding peace within them. They know that resilience does not just protect joy, it deepens it, because every smile after hardship carries the weight of survival, every moment of laughter becomes a celebration of strength, every breath of gratitude becomes a reminder that life is still worth living. The surprising truth is that happiness and resilience are inseparable. One cannot last without the other. Resilience allows happiness to endure, and happiness gives resilience its purpose. Together, they create a cycle of strength and joy that no circumstance can break. And when you embrace resilience, you discover that happiness is not just a fleeting emotion. It is a state of being that rises again and again, no matter how many times life tries to bring you down.